Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us to talk about managing your mind. Managing your own mind. The path to managing your own mind begins with self-mastery. How can you and I gain the ability to manage continuously and effectively our own mind? But before I attempt to answer these questions, I must, in fairness to myself, state one point clearly and emphatically. An improved control over the mind will solve some of our problems, but it will not solve all of them. Suppose now you want to manage your own mind more effectively. How can you make a start? You can make a start, a good start, by banning from your mind full common but extremely dangerous thoughts from your mind, because they will knock repeatedly at the door of your mind, seeking interest. You must not allow them to become permanent resident. They can hang out for a second, but they can't be permanent resident. To begin with, you have banned from your mind the idea that you would have been happier and most successful if you had made your major choices differently. Repeatedly, this thought seeks interest to every human mind, especially a man. As we grow older, these thoughts appear more frequently, more and more insistently. We find ourselves saying, if I had chosen a different career, I would have been more successful. If I had married someone else, if I had made other plans for my children, if my organization of my home was in a different way, my domestic situation would have been better. If 5 years ago I had been taking that unexpected opportunity to change my job, which we all do, resident of my children's world, then everything in my world today would have been perfect. These are familiar thoughts. And if you allow these thoughts to control your mind, they can do definitely damage, a lot of damage. They can bring up uncontrollable emotions of regret, self-accusation, and fear for the future. These emotions can lead to self-destruction and even dwindling power to achieve. But the question now is, how do we start managing our minds? Here's an obvious place at which to begin. First of all, ban from your mind the thought that the road or the life which you did not take would have been better than the road which you did take. If you find that effort hard, ask yourself this question. You're not a fortune teller, but just ask yourself, do you really know anything about the road you did not take? We assume that the road not taken was a smooth road or a straight road. A road which led directly to the lands of dreams. But that's not necessarily the truth. But that assumption may be false. The road not taken may have been even more difficult than the roads you have been following, because we don't know. Because you have been relatively unsuccessful as a business person, man or woman, you must not infer that you would have been highly successful had you entered one of the other professions, whatever that may be. And maybe you have done better where you are, than you would have done, anywhere else. You don't really know these things. Because your present home is not the way you want it does not mean that, you would have an ideal home someplace else had your choice of life partners been different. That alternative home might have been even less desirable than the one you now live in. You don't know. We don't know. It's hard to tell. We know how that situation is. We've seen situations. It is dangerous and easy to resurrect vanishing alternatives, and then claim that the situation in which you find yourself in at the present is worse of all the other possible situations. As a matter of fact, the situation in which we now find ourselves may be the best situation life had for us. You ever thought about it? Instead of berating ourselves or yourself, for taking the road we didn't take. We don't know. Because most of the times you see people before they see you, so you don't know how your friends or your neighbors are really doing. We might, if we knew all the facts, find ourselves thanking God we were kept from following the alternative path. You don't know. Another idea you must resolutely ban from your mind is the idea that everyone in your vicinity or your block is watching you. That whoever you may think, noting your mistakes, criticizing you, making particularly individuals who are sensitive and eager to please. Such individuals inevitably develop self-consciousness, and they become habitually bashful, and in some cases develop a fatal case of inferiority complex. We've seen people like that, very talented. Some years ago, I went to a high school graduation in down south. I told this story before, a young woman in her teens had a small part in the program. After the exercise, I told the young lady how well, she sound. But I saw at once that something was disturbing the young lady greatly. Her hands were trembling. Her voice was mistakenly tense. She looked at me and said, thanks for the compliment, but then you noticed that I forgot a line in my speech. No, I didn't. Poor girl, she was picturing herself as a fish in a bowl with 1,000 observant and critical eyes rivet, on her. But as a matter of fact, most of the people who attend the ceremony paid little or no attention to her or her 3-minute speech. You have to, talk. If you find it difficult to ban from your mind the idea that everyone is watching you or criticizing you, which you're going to have, remind yourself that other people are usually absorbed in their own affairs. And trust me, they all have problems, big problems. And they also concerned with their own, consequently, they pay little attention to you even when you address them or try to impress some fact upon them. And the reason, people, have their own responsibilities, as the saying goes, their own disappointments. So very little room remains there for anyone else. So you have to be more conscious of yourself. You must ban, from your mind the idea as you make your way through life, you are likely to fail. It's obvious. Many people, particularly young people, what they allow these thoughts to enter their minds. These individuals may not admit it, but they expect the worst. I've heard a guy say, when I live my life, guy's about 35. What happens when such thought, enter our minds and establish residence? They inevitably rob us of our self-confidence and hope. Ban from your mind the notion that you are predetermined to fail, because it's not a fact. That the venture that you are more likely to go wrong than right, whatever venture you take. Doesn't happen all the time. Believe the best about yourself, about the venture you're about to take. Like we say, if you think you are beaten, you are. Beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but are sure you can't, it's almost a certainty you won't. The prize don't always go to the brightest and the strongest man. Again and again, the one who wins is the one who is sure that he can. And my friend, that's what I want you to do. Have hope and believe in your own mind. Thank you.